So we're going to take a little bit of ride, give you some perspective on what we look at when we're acquiring a new facility. All right, let's go. You may be asking who this fine gentleman is next to me. That's Matt Naioti. He is on our acquisitions team. So Matt, what are we doing here today?
Well, we're headed over to Roswell to take a look at a site to see some things that we look for when we're evaluating a property.
Sounds good. We'll see you over there. So Matt, when we first get on the site, what's one of the things that we look for as a favorable location?
Well, Chris, one of the things we want to see is a high traffic count, and as you can see behind me, we're on a main road here with plenty of visibility from through-going traffic all day. And another thing we like to see is neighboring properties. And so across the street here, we have a brand new elementary school, which is again going to bring ample visibility to the site throughout the day. Why don't we go take a look at the property?
Sounds good. So Todd, as we look at a facility, what are some of the things that we do differently operationally than most of the operators when we take over a site?
Well, our main focus is customer service, but 10 to 15% of our revenue monthly comes from our ancillary income. And our ancillary income is point of sale items, locks, boxes, packing supplies, as well as our U-Haul trucks. And so we do our best to make sure that the customer can see a showroom, can walk through a showroom, and can touch and feel all the merchandise that's here.
And is that something that we shoot for in every one of our sites? This is a really pretty office. What do we do when we come to a site that doesn't have this type of facility already there?
Sure. Well, 60% of our tenant base is women. So for the most part, we're trying to give an open, airy look so that you can see a showroom that's very visible before you walk in, so you feel safe and secure to walk in. So if we go in and we have to retrofit a facility, then what we're going to most likely do is we're going to add glass. We're going to do our best to provide the same showroom experience that you have here anywhere we go. So it's always going to be a Class A experience.
Gotcha. All right. I'm going to show you guys something a little special. Todd, I do have to ask, why do we have cookies on site and a cookie tray in every one of our facilities?
Well, it's the exact same experience that you have when you're talking about coming into a facility and smelling hot coffee. It's smelling the cookies, and when you give a cookie to a customer, then they feel obligated in a sense to buy something from you, whether it's a ancillary income item or rent a self-storage unit. Think about also the fact that if somebody walks in here with a child and you hand them a cookie, they're going to stay longer and they're going to listen to your product, they're going to listen to your spiel about your product, and ultimately they're going to rent a unit because nobody else does it.
So I have to say, I have a 13-year-old son, and he came in and said, "Dad, you're renting garages." He's like, if one garage gave me a cookie and the other garage company didn't give me a cookie, he's like, I'd rent the one with the cookie. That's all there is to be said about that.
Perfect. All
right. So Matt, we're standing in front of a U-Haul truck here at our site. What do we do with U-Haul programs, and do we typically see that at most of the sites that we're acquiring?
At sites we're acquiring, not always, but U-Haul is something that we put into place at every one of our facilities. We find that it drives traffic and increases lease-up pace. People needing to move stuff with a truck often need a place to put it.
Gotcha. And how does it work? So do we rent the trucks from U-Haul, or do they bring them to us? And then walk me through how we make money off that.
Yes and yes. U-Haul is supplying us the trucks. We are renting them through their program, and we make a commission based on the trucks that we rent.
Gotcha. And give us a range of a high utilization U-Haul site versus a low utilization from a dollars perspective. Are these big dollar items that we can typically see at some of our sites?
They are very impactful, yes. So at a base level, A site that doesn't do a whole lot of U-Haul truck rentals, we can make anywhere from about $1,000 a month. But some of our biggest facilities down in Jupiter, Florida, they make upwards of $10,000 a month in U-Haul truck rental commission.
Wow, so that can be a big part of the revenue stream of the site.
Absolutely.
Gotcha. Well, I appreciate you sharing it with me. Let's go take a look at some of the units. So Todd, when we're in one of our climate control buildings, typically when we set up a climate control unit, what are we trying to do to ensure smooth operations? Like when you look around the building, what are some of the key features that you could share with our viewers?
Sure. One of the first things that you'll notice is that all the doors inside are white. Back in the old days, back in the first generation self-storage, was that everybody decided that they wanted to do their own colors, so you'd have green or you'd have blue or you'd have red. And what that does is the colors actually suck all the light in. And you want to keep this open and airy. So you want to have all your lights up, you want to have them caged so that as people are moving things in and out with sofas, they're not hitting them, they're not breaking them, and that all the doors are light and this is airy so that it reflects light and it shows the safety and security of the self-storage site. The other thing that we do is we diamond plate all the corners. We want to make sure that as you're going through with your carts and things along those lines, that's where they're going to get beat up the most.
Okay.
And so we're protecting the asset for our equity investors as well as the customers that are using it. One of the biggest things that most people don't understand is something that we do, which is these thank you stickers. And these thank you stickers are not unique to us, but it's one of our policy and procedures that when we walk through a site, when we're doing our daily walkthrough at night, when we're doing our daily walkthrough during the morning, is that we're looking for these thank you stickers on every lock. And these thank you stickers, basically, if somebody's going to come in here and steal from a self-storage facility, what they'll do is they'll rent a unit, they'll cut the lock, they'll move that stuff out of there and they'll move it into their unit and they'll put two separate locks on. And then if you're not going through and you're not maintaining the facility, what you're going to find is that is missing a thank you sticker, and they're going to be able to move in and out without you having any idea that they actually moved their goods from somewhere else into a pickup truck or something like that.
So
to
if
get
you
out.
see a lock without a sticker, what happens?
The facility manager calls the tenant and asks whether or not did you replace the lock, and if they got an answer of no, then you have the tenant come on out and take a look. So,
Gotcha. And is there a percentage breakdown that we look for on our sites, climate controlled versus non? I'm sure that's market specific.
it is market specific. A lot of times in the Southeast, you're looking at 60-40, 60% climate control, 40% non-climate. You can go 50-50 as you get into the Northeast and the Midwest. That can be 70-30, and that can go 70% non-climate, 30% climate control. But it is very market specific.
And when we talk about climate control, there's one thing you've always shared with me. I thought it was funny. You want it comfortable, but not really comfortable.
Sure, you don't want anybody living in here, right?
Hey, guys, I'm trying to sleep in here. Come on.
Okay, so at 85 to 88 as far as the temperature, that's where the AC kicks on. When it gets down to 50, that's where the heat kicks on. And so we're trying to keep it to the point where everybody's goods are comfortable, but nobody wants to comfortably live here.
So Todd, is there anything else that we do to accommodate customers at our storage facilities?
Well, yes. Besides the fact that we have keypad entry and access, we also have lighting that comes on as you walk in. That's censored. And then also, you're on one of our push carts.
When we're at a site, we talked about a couple of things we look at on the outside of the site, building some ancillary income items, retail sales items. What are some of the things that we look at the market level?
Sure. Before we get to that point, we're going to look at the market. We're going to check out the demographics, the population growth, income levels, home value, and we're going to compare that to the level of supply, the competition in the market, other storage facilities and their proximity to where we are, to where the neighborhoods are, the general flow of traffic, and determine whether the location is suitable for a storage facility.
And is there a direct relationship between some of the items that you talked about, demographics, so population, job growth? Like, how do we say, hey, a good market is if we see this versus not? Like, is there a direct relationship between, hey, if we have a lot of job growth, then there's a high demand for storage?
Sure. I mean, we can't point to one specific measurement and say that if you have X level of population, this is where you should be for storage. But all of these factors combined, if there's a lot of job growth, there's a lot of people that are moving homes, and if they're moving, they're going to need storage when they're transitioning from an apartment to a house. If you have higher income levels, that's going to support the ability to do rate increases, which are key to making the financial model work. So there's a number of things that go into it.
And is it one of those things where market by market it changes as far as who's renting? I mean, are we looking always for a residential market, or are there some markets that are focused more on commercial? And do we know that when we're looking at the site initially?
I mean, yes, each market's going to be different. So there are certainly some markets, downtown or heavier commercial tenant base in the area, you're going to get more business rentals to your facility. But if we're in a bit of a rural location, you're going to see more non-climate, larger units, and those are going to be rented by residential customers. It all varies on a market-to-market basis.
And I know some of the data supports residential versus commercial certainly have different characteristics as far as how long they rent, how long they stay in the facility. So it's important that we understand that as we go into a new market.
Yeah, and you're going to want to see a good mix of both at a site. Anywhere from 10 to 20% of business tenants to the remainder coming from residential renters.
Gotcha. Anything else that you think we should hit on as we're talking about individual demographics and kind of the market level data?
I think we could go on for a while, but that gives a pretty good high level overview.
Is it odd that we're wearing the same color shirts?
You watched me getting ready. I put this on first.
Fair. Well, I appreciate you following us around the site today. I think we give you a good overview of some of the things we look at a site once we're operating it, and then also from an acquisition standpoint as far as what we evaluate as we look at a new site. Hope you have a good rest of the day.